champions have had prepared in the shadows.
Yeah, the one thing that we'd probably expect to come through would be the Zac as well. Tahm Kench and Braum have typically been traded. Not going to be the case here, though. CLG looking to get the Braum half of that trade without having to give the Tahm Kench over. So the first pick is here, though. There's quite a few as far as even the mid lane still left open.
Zac was the last ban for FlyQuest. Still a champion that seems a little too good to let through in most games, but I don't think Garen's going to be the pick there for CLG. We'll see what they do want to actually go for here with pick number 1. And it looks like Gragas might be the next guy.
With the buffed up Cinder Hulk, I definitely do expect this to be in the jungle. I just feel like tanks should be in the jungle position right now because of the massive bonuses that you get off of Cinder Hulk. 20% extra, bonus HP, a lot better clearing nowadays, and it still has the possibility of being flexed to the top lane, and Darshan could take that one up, but I would think that they would want to have Dardoch piloting that.
Yeah, he's played a lot of it as well this split already, so I think all that together makes sense. Kalista and Kha'Zix, though, are the response there for FlyQuest. Kalista, arguably the best AD available, although we'll see an answer here with Tristana there for Stixxay, and Kha'Zix certainly against Gragas is a very common pick, and there's more 7-13 for you, Kobe. Gnar, the last pick for CLG's first phase.
Oh yeah, we were talking a lot about how Gnar was rising to the top of the priority for a lot of teams up there, blind pickable, even though there are counter matchups where you can get 1v1 kills and try and get those kills in lane. A lot of those matchups like Aurelia or Riven or something that would try and get the kills and use jungle pressure do not perform very well once you transition to the mid game and you maybe are forced to team fight a bit more. Rumble, though, is not one that's looking to go for those kills on Gnar in lane. He's also looking to have a very big impact in the team fights.
And of course, Ball's well packed on that champion, but there's the Syndra ban for FlyQuest, and I think a very smart Lucian ban there for CLG. You often pair Rumble and Lucian together, and Huhi's always shown a preference for playing a lot of these AD champions. It was a lot of talent last split, and he's played plenty of Lucian this split as well.
Whenever you see Rumble locked in early like this, mid lane AD bans do start to come through. Don't want to let them have a really easy time of balancing out their damage profile. That being said, Kha'Zix and Kalista themselves can pretty much hold it down, so don't really expect either team to be pigeonholed too much. And Gnar will have to respect both damage types already and have to build both armor and magic resist.
Well, there's a mid lane Galio ban there for FlyQuest with the pick CLG already locked in, and a Rakan ban, so taking some playmaking out of the hands of Lemonnation.
Yeah, that has been huge for FlyQuest. Having that guaranteed initiation has been the thing that really allowed them to snowball a lot of those early games and continue through to that mid game and secure their dragon control as well.
Well, Corki there for FlyQuest. Huhi going to stick to kind of the type of champions he has been successful on in the past here. Corki, of course, does almost completely magic damage at this point, but still a perfectly solid pick.
As we said, that's why it's important to have Kha'Zix locked in for the jungler as well as the Kalista, but you talked about it a little bit beforehand. We were mentioning offline here about the Vel'KoZ possibility for Huhi, who has put time in previously on this champion, and yes, it's a huge amount of damage, potential from this champion. Really good wave clear, very good long range, and actually scales nicely too. The drawback is always and has always been, though, the lack of mobility and the vulnerability in that mid lane to gank. So oftentimes you'll see Vel'KoZ players, maxing that W and just trying to clear the wave and then back off a bit into Fog of War, trying to rely on a bit more safety early.
Well, there's Vel'KoZ going to be paired with Morgana as CLG's support pick, so certainly a champion that's been rising pretty high up the priority list with so many playmaking champions being selected. That being said, FlyQuest are last picking support by the looks of things, so we'll see what Lemonnation settles on, and it is going to be Sona. I like this pick a lot.
All right, Sona, yes, super high win rate as far as solo queue, but we rarely see it pulled into competitive play. The last time I remember was even actually at the hands of his opponent, Aphromoo. Who was popularizing that. But Sona with Kalista is a pretty strong lane. Lots of sustain there. She can go for that harassment. And you have the possibility of still a really good CC combo when you hit those level 6 spikes with both the ultimates.
Well, certainly fun here, and I'm pretty sure Lemon's going to be holding onto that Ignite, so we could see a lot of blood spilt into the bottom lane. Other than that, pretty well-assembled comps by both. FlyQuest kind of sticking to a lot of heavy carries and wanting to, I assume, snowball the early game. CLG playing a lot more team fighting, especially in that top 2 slots.
Yeah. The main thing I see for FlyQuest composition is that they have 0 crowd control on the top half of the map. It is all coming from WildTurtle and Lemonnation as far as those team fights. So the top half early on in the game does have to be a bit more careful, because it should be advantage to CLG as far as forcing skirmishes or fighting their way out of those skirmishes, because FlyQuest are just going to have the raw damage output to try and win those.
And I think we've seen so much strength from the top half of CLG's map this split already. I mean, Stixxay and Aphro, with maybe a dip in performance last split, they've just been very solid and very good pretty much their entire tenure as a duo throughout the LCS. I think the top side's kind of finally getting it all together. Darshan's pressure's been great, especially towards the top lane, which is a pairing we maybe didn't expect. And Huhi loves to leave his lane anyway and help pressure and create a really strong triad of aggression that CLG can play with. So I have to agree, if the top side for Fly looking to farm up safely, CLG probably not going to let that happen as we load out into Summoner's Rift for our opening game of this week. It's nice to be back, although hopefully you're recovered from Berlin.
Yeah, so I never adjusted to the time difference in Germany. I was jet lagged the whole time, so when I came back, it was fine.
Genius.
Just have to wake up at 3 a.m. every day. Honestly, though, it was a good point that you brought up in the intro there, as far as the top half of the map for CLG and how much Dardoch and Darshan have really taken to the duo and taken to playing with each other. That's been, I think, at the core of kind of Darshan's resurgence. He's been playing better, as you said, and that's why him meeting up with Balls is actually kind of a pretty anticipated top lane matchup here, as both of them have been on the rise slightly.
Well, there's a 4-man roam by CLG to the mid lane, but Binding misses high, so he'll dodge out of the way and stay safe. CLG, though, as always, have something creative cooked up. If you've got a CC on your support champion, might as well try and make a play, but cost them almost nothing, and it looks like CLG are going to wander back down to this bottom side and leash this red for Dardoch.
Yep, it looks like they are not going to start off with the barrel charge on the Raptors, and he's not going to do the super pull that people have been doing. It does definitely cost the bottom lane, and up against the Kalista Sona already, you're facing a little bit of a difficulty there, so they don't want to spend that extra time. They're just going to pull the red buff for him. Meanwhile, FlyQuest doing the same. Getting their junglers off to those healthy starts.
Moon able to save his smite for that first camp. Pretty straightforward there. Dardoch doing the same, and both teams should know, despite lack of vision, that junglers started on this bottom side of the map because the top lane is met very early and the bottom laners will get there around the same time also.
Yeah, and it really is important to give that pull and get the extra HP for your junglers right now, because like the fights over these early scuttle crabs have gotten even more important. Lemonnation here starting the coin, by the way. Same as Aphromoo. That is another item that has gained a lot of popularity with the increased gold values that you really generate off that thing. And the increased range that you can actually pick them up so that you can actually pick up your gold has actually seen a pretty big turnaround.
Yep. Seen a lot of different players be using that one more. I think Aphro is happy with the item being strong. Nice ward there from high. Going to try and spot Dardoch. Well, at least here the buff isn't there. Smart of Dardoch to pull it into the brush, but he'll be spotted with pretty much as soon as he walks out. So information effectively gotten there.
Yeah, feels good as the jungler if your mid laner is pushing up and grabbing that information for you. See how they'll be able to use it though, because Moon should path down to the bottom side here. That Scuttle Crab, as we said, pretty important there in the early game. Meanwhile, down bottom, not too much heavy trading, as they know a lot of early damage into Sona goes to waste because she heals even more the lower health they are, so they're not even wasting their time on trades here for CLG. Just kind of going for the CS.
Yeah, and I'm not super brushed up on my current Sona play, but it is win speakers there for Lemonnation, so even adding to more of that healing to staying in lane. And push looking good right now for FlyQuest duo, but Stixxay and Aphro shouldn't be too miffed about what's happening as well. Have a check in with that top side. Ball's right now ahead by a couple of CS, although Darshan's going to even that right back up. And FlyQuest, I think, doing what they want to do.
Even.
Moon's hard farming, and FlyQuest lanes are all pushing here. So that's the kind of pressure they do want to create, and we'll see if they can convert it into anything else or if they just take their farm lead for the next few minutes.
Yeah, and the big difference, too, for FlyQuest is the vision control, right? They've got bottom side of the map pretty well warded. And Moon is heading down there, but Dardoch's here for a counter gank. They have to be a bit careful.
Ooh, good hop away from the binding there. Aphromoo already getting a little too low. Dardoch does have to show his face maybe a little earlier than he would like, so FlyQuest averting any sort of disaster with nice timing on Moonside and a good bit of skill to dodge away. But Dardoch doing the right thing as well, making sure his bottom lane stays safe. Yeah,
and he sticks around a little bit longer just in case here. CLG are the ones with the lack of vision, so with his camps not up, it doesn't cost him too much, but it looks like they're trying to sneak in here for a wraparound gank just in case FlyQuest get a little aggressive or if a chance binding lands, but Lemonnation able to sidestep there quite nicely.
Yeah, binding not going to hit, and looks like the wave going back means Dardoch might be wasting even more time here. Ooh, balls on Darshan fighting once more, but balls again. Flaming down Darshan.
Yeah, once so Rumble now scales a bit more aggressively when you put extra points there into the queue, and a really good trade there. Even though it does have longer cooldown, Balls was able to get some nice harassment, and now he might even go for the dive.
He's gonna go straight forward, overheats quickly. Darshan about to get solo killed. Balls picks up first blood.
It makes it look so simple as well. And I'm just going back to here to check, make sure they did not have vision of Dardoch. They didn't know for sure that Dardoch wasn't around. So that is Balls really taking initiative there. And he's not punished for it at all by any sort of jungler interaction. Yeah, let's take a look. Oh, Dardoch was in the lane. So he knows 100% he can go for this dive, and Darshan, just a bit greedy here, does not respect the damage. You can see him coming. If he slowly walks up to you right next to you under the turret, pretty sure he's going to go for that kill. Ball's able to get that first blood, and FlyQuest off to a very good start.
It looks like high, low on mana, burnt the flash in mid lane as Dardoch came for a visit, but there's the ulti out of Lemmonnation's going to visit as well. Huhi has to keep running. Dardoch, though, looking for the re-engage high, very low, but he'll stay safe.
Yeah, they have a defensive perimeter around high so that Dardoch can't go for the body slam flash. Moon was going to intercept him there to make sure that they don't get that kill.
Looks like top lane TPs also came to the area, so I think they were both cancelled looking at the current cooldowns, but no intervention there. High is able to farm this wave and get out safely. But again, that's the next attempted gank from Dardoch, going a little short as FlyQuest continue to ride some of their early advantages.
Yeah, the mid lane is generally going to be pretty heavy on farm, as we said. Well, let's take a look at this trade here. Yeah, as we said, you know, the Vel'KoZ, for people who are super curious, happy to see him in competitive play. Maxing that W, of course, for the early wave control. And we'll see the damage start to roll through. We already saw one example of the ultimate with that true damage. But because there were so many extra members around, no summoners really burned either.
Yeah. Plenty safe there, it felt like, as FlyQuest do a nice job both attacking and defending. But only though getting pushed in a little more, and Stixxay actually nice and even on CS, should feel comfortable again. Sona lanes are pretty frustrating, but if nothing bad happens, Tristana will be happy to just take as much farm as she can get in that early laning phase as Hyde. Now armed with his Hex Trinket in the mid lane, looking to get a bit more aggressive perhaps. Dodging out nicely over all of the Vel'KoZ skill shots. It's a tough one.
That's the bonus of being able to clear out that wave so quickly as Vel'KoZ is, yes, Hyde can try and go for a trade on you, but he's going to have to deal with the entire minion wave hitting him. So he took about as much damage back during that as he was able to get off. And as you can see in the CS, both of them neck and neck.
It's been kind of that one early bit of presence from Dardoch in two places that hasn't gone right, but level 6 now for Gragas with the flash still ready. Doesn't mean that he might continue to look to make plays. Moon has just been hard farming his side of the jungle, so if he shows up, he's going to feel nice and strong. And this is, I feel like, one of the things in this jungle matchup where Kha'Zix can really get ahead, because Gragas just cannot out-damage Kha'Zix.
Definitely can't out-damage him. He can try and make more plays or go transition into team fighting a bit more, especially if he goes Cinder Hulk. But as you said, Kha'Zix going for that spike as soon as you get warriors. You kind of time that one very similarly to the spikes of your solo laners in Rumble and Corki. Huhi did delay his Trinity Force because he's going for the Hex Drinker, which you do need for Vel'KoZ, as they displayed earlier. But they are going to go for a little bit earlier of a curve, FlyQuest here, with their composition. They want to get Rumble, to his first item with his spell penetration. You want to get your Sword Boots on top of the mask, and then Huhi obviously wants to get his Trinity Force, and that's when you start to really force plays. Here goes the blue invade, though, is successful.
Yep, smite away from Moon's able to get it. Really nice bit of pressure there from FlyQuest, and again, we expected CLG's top side of the map to maybe make it happen early, but instead it's FlyQuest looking again. Huhi gonna get jumped on here by Moon. Huhi immediately backs forward. Huhi looking to disengage as Moon's gonna get blasted down with a laser, but Dardoch flashes over it, doesn't dodge the ulti. Dardoch snipes away Moon invisible. Yeah,
Moon was taking a lot of damage from the Vel'KoZ ultimate, trying to dodge back and forth and not disrespecting it and going vertically out. Didn't get outranged, and so Huhi takes it down to 10% there, where Dardoch cleans it up. Balls now using the ultimate, not only force up harass, but also wave clear.
Yeah, well up there from Darshan. Started that combo up, but not too much damage dealt out to balls. It looks like Dardoch trying to get even more off this play and look for an invade. Does steal away the Gromp, take away the plant, and WildTurtle is going to be too late to find him.
All right, so you'll notice here, Moon does have the R evolution first, which was buffed and gives you this extra speed plus invisibility, so you do get to make up for that distance. But look, his backtrack there before he saw Dardoch, that not respecting the presence of the enemy jungler or the possibility that he could be there, does cost him an extra 100 health during the ultimate from Huhi, and that is enough to get him low enough. Dardoch claims the kill.
Yeah, again, nice presence from Dardoch. Effective counter ganking again there in the mid lane and able to pick off Moon, who now has his Warrior Enchant finished. Would have made that mid lane play a little bit easier. Huhi also with a chain ramping up damage of his own. Balls continues to do just fine there. 1v1 in the top lane and bottom side. Actually a big CS lead here for Torta and Lemon. That's pretty much 100 to 80 as a whole wave's about to get denied perhaps as well. So WildTurtle is going to go back and spend a big heaping of money.
Yeah, super nice for Kalista. As we talked about a little bit in Champion Select, the power of that lane early on is quite nice in getting the CS lead, but it really comes to power when we see the ultimates used in their kind of team fight here. Because, again, that is where FlyQuest are bringing their crowd control from. And it might have to result around an early Drake here, as CLG are actually setting up a lot of the vision first.
We're going to try and gank Huhi, who does have the package. Always a prompt for a Corki to try and make something dramatic happen. Instead, just going to Valk down the wave.
Yeah, it was timing out there, so he was either, use it or lose it, buddy. And
might lose more than just the package. Dardoch coming in for the play, doesn't flash. Maybe just a bank kind of doing it, but the rest of Fly are here. Dardoch gonna get burnt down. Moon has the damage. Able to take down Dardoch. Moon gonna flash forward, look for Huhi as he wants some extra. Gonna need more than that though. Huhi low, but not dead.
The power of counter ganks we are seeing in this game. 2 ganks on mid lane turned around by a timely counter here from the other team, and that is the importance of hugging your control ward side of the mid lane. All of FlyQuest comes in, Huhi stands his ground. As soon as Dardoch uses his only movement spell forward now, they go aggressive.
And Balls is just continuing to abuse Darshan in this 1v1. A huge amount of damage with the Leanders now finished as FlyQuest are able to pick up that first dragon and grab a Cloud Drake for themselves, but FlyQuest really been on the ball this game. Again, this attempt started by CLG.
Yeah, so take a look here. Huhi is kind of baiting in here. He's immediately turning around to do damage after Dardoch uses the body slam forward, and it's a pretty easy cleanup. Balls there does go for the flash to try and get an extra kill. They aren't rewarded, so we'll see if he does get punished for not having flash on Rumble, because he was doing so well in the top side. Definitely had control of Darshan early on. And we'll see if he does get punished. Maybe a visit from Dardoch could get turned around on him.
Yep, up about 15 or so, I guess 10 now that Darshan's able to pick up a few more, but gonna go back, get some early consumables for himself and keep snowballing that lane forward. Other than that, it's just components everywhere as no major items have been finished, but won't be too much longer until that happens. The FlyQuest, despite all their leads, are up a Cloud Drake and about 1,000 gold with just a little in change. So CLG certainly not super far behind, but FlyQuest are playing, I think, a little more steady, solid league than we've really seen. And this is what the type of thing we did see from them before we hit the break for Rift Rivals, where it just seems like things were coming together a little bit more. And like Huhi was talking about, I just feel like the team have done a lot of regrouping and trying to make sure they figure out how they actually want to play.
Yeah, a bit of direction goes a long way. And FlyQuest also do have a bit more of that early game oriented setup for themselves. So it is important when you do that to transition into the mid game with a bit of momentum, and it's important that they do have the Cloud Drake, but Ocean Drake spawning second, they would really have loved for either the Mountain or Inferno here. Kalista with all her dragon control really kind of gives you an extra edge on the bottom side. We'll take what they can get though. Turtle and Lemonnation doing quite well in the bottom side, as you mentioned, even able to extend that lead a little bit.
Yeah, like you said, though, certainly no major lead really being built for Fly, so we'll see if they can open up the game a little bit more, or if CLG will play almost in their trademark defensive manner and really open things up when they can unlock a lot of their Gragas Gnar team fighting that they've set up for themselves in Chancellor.
Yeah, CLG do scale a bit more aggressively there towards the late game. Right now, though, as we said, Balls has no flash, and they're looking to punish him.
Moon here, though, but the good Gnar into the wall is going to get the stun. Wolf's going to land a second. Is Moon going to try and leap in the counter kill? But Ball already low. The scrapture might be enough to keep him alive for long, though. But Darshan able to flash away. Moon still
Huhi's coming up the river, though.
Also made the roam up. First Q going to land. Gatling gun, not enough, but he flashes forward, dodges the wall, and gets the last auto. Dardoch, though, able to act on the Moon. Yes, he does get the kill, and now Huhi looking to play cleanup. Dardoch has no flash left, and Moon just kills him with a bit of help from the minions.
Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Binding lands, but Lemonnation should be able to walk out. Yeah, they're just fine. Oh man, what a weird little skirmish here on the top side. Let's go over it again, because we did expect there to be top lane focus with Balls blowing his flash in that mid lane, and Darshan takes a very good opportunity here. Pretty much perfect setup as far as getting that Gnar into the side of the wall, but then Moon does a little bit of a wonky engage there onto the Gnar, and then has to kind of flash over to the side. High with a nice dodge, but afterwards, Moon doesn't have his flash because of the previous engage where he jumped right in onto the Gragas and Gnar. And in the end, both Brodies down.
Yeah, managed to take him out, and actually now the Trinity Force completed for Huhi. After that sequence of play, gonna feel even stronger as Moon once again ulting down's completely snuck into this bottom side of the map. Does get a ward down, Control Ward's gonna spot it, but FlyQuest are already here for this play. Package there for Huhi, but CLG moving behind their jungle to defend.
Yeah, and again, just this Kalista Sona lane continually just abusing CLG's bottom side. Finally actually even able to get this turret themselves. So some extra gold here for FlyQuest, and this is kind of what we talked about as far as fueling that mid game and going into the mid game super strong when you do have kind of this early power and you're facing a bit more of an aggressive scale. This is exactly what FlyQuest want. I also want to talk about again the evolutions here for Kha'Zix because of the buffs to the R, where as we saw earlier in the mid lane gank, it gives you that speed boost and lasts a bit longer, so you can gain distance still when going for those plays. Even if you don't go for the W early on, but if you don't upgrade your Q on Kha'Zix for your isolated Q, it does make it significantly more difficult to take the isolated Drakes or the big objectives like that. However, that problem is solved and that weakness is kind of covered by having a Kalista in your bottom lane. So because FlyQuest also have this super strong Kalista bottom lane that can control Drakes, it even enables Moon to actually go for that R evolution super early on, and we'll see if it actually benefits them much more.
Yeah, well, it looks like CLG are sick of that bottom lane. Being 20 CS down, they're actually going to swap out of there and look to 2v1 Balls for a little brief moment. Total, they're already booking it towards the top side. And I imagine Lemon and the Sona will join in soon. First items have been completed for these bot laners though. Infinity Edge versus Blade of the Ruined King right now. And again, everyone's kind of ramping up for that next stage of the game. But FlyQuest rapidly approaching 3,000 gold ahead here in this game. And with Ocean Drake up in 5 seconds, could keep that objective snowball going. And even currently seeing pings onto that Rift Herald. FlyQuest acutely aware of the objectives they're trying to get. And I'll start it up here.
Yep, and they have Kalista in the top lane now as they've rotated their duo, but similarly for CLG, their duo walking past is going to put a stop to that Rift Herald for the time being. Yeah, it looks like Turtle just going to be able to push up too, get a little bit more vision control here.
Moon continuing to ult pretty aggressively also, trying to get some information, scout around the otherwise blind areas for FlyQuest. Total though, getting this lane shoved, bot lane getting shoved by balls, and Darshan finally joining in here.
Yeah, once you take care of the side wave there for Kalista on the top side, then she can come down and help out with actually taking the objective, which is what they need. Balls now though, 2v1.
Good flash. Blastcone's going to get him out to safety.
Because they saw the jungler down on bottom side though, FlyQuest can easily secure this rift field. They know 100% this is theirs. Kalista plus Kha'Zix. Very simplistic.
Yep. Easy enough two-man there. It's high. Still poking Aphromoo as they're just trading poke back and forth. Drake though over to CLG. FlyQuest will spot it. But far too late to try and contest for it, so CLG attempt on balls on the bottom side, happy to convert into an objective, but RiftCloud instantly used mid here by Moon, and that tower's gonna die.
Ooh, Balls actually isn't with the team. He does have teleport, but...
Oh, the CC chain! I think the RiftCloud's got enough help for this charge still. Not quite enough, but just one more auto.
Oh!
Okay, it goes down.
I was going to say, even a couple minions would help out there, and they're finally able to get it. So FlyQuest have taken down every single outer turret of CLG now. They have the full perimeter to work with. And next step is to go back and purchase with all their gold and try and move up this ward line. They've kind of been stalled out here in the shallow end of the jungle. But now that they've got the full 4,000 gold lead, they can try and press in. Talk about the earlier spikes as well with the composition, the crowd control that comes from their bottom lane, as well as Trinity Force being completed finally. And Rumble has actually been fully operational and ready for a team fight for quite a while here. All you need is level 11 and some spell pen.
Yeah, it's got one better than that, as Blue Buff going to go over to Huhi. As Fly finally go back and spend a pretty mountainous amount of gold. Moving towards their second items pretty quickly here. Inventories are all bare right now, but everyone had at least 1,000 on them just before those buys. So FlyQuest certainly done a nice job snowballing themselves into this mid game. It's just a matter of how they accelerate this lead. And of course, when you think of a champion like Kalista, you look at the point of the game we're in, Baron is the obvious objective that comes to mind.
Yeah, and this is the point too where a lot of teams stall out. Right at the 20-minute mark, once you've taken all the outer turrets, those are the super easy objectives to go for, right? And actually don't even take too much coordination. But once those outers are down, it requires so much more forethought to push all the way to secondary turrets, to prep your side wave on the opposite side of the map as well, so you don't get collapsed upon too easily. That in combination with the fact that the Baron is so strong right at 20 minutes compared to the power of champions at that point, it's so risky and not even that viable to set up for vision control around Baron, because the enemy team knows that it's incredibly risky for you to go for it. So this is kind of the point where a lot of early game teams fail, is right around the 20 to 25 minute mark, and they kind of stall out.
And you can see CLG know that yes, they are behind, but certainly not out of reach at this point, trying to set up and get some gold back to themselves by picking off a member of the FlyQuest duo. But Total, despite effectively solo pushing, playing very safe, and now the Runin's going to blast down the side waves even faster. And CLG just kind of have to sit back with no real room on the map currently. I hope that FlyQuest slip off, or they can set up a plane, then take the objective. Because right now it feels okay, given that yes, the game will stall a bit and that CLG should be able to take these outer turrets. But at some point when you don't take them, that golden map control you expected to get really costs you once you hit about the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, kind of the mid-game teamfight is very pivotal. It really does hinge on, can CLG actually set up their crowd control? As far as the Gnar that you mentioned, if Gragas is able to set up for a really good Gnar engage, then the damage is actually starting to come through. We talk about the scaling of Tristana, the scaling of Vel'KoZ. They're just kind of getting into the points where they feel comfortable there for the team fights. And we shall have to see if FlyQuest can actually kind of deny that possible mid-game swing. Because, man, this is looking so good for FlyQuest. This is one of the bottom teams versus #1 in the North American LCS at the moment. And a very strong opening for FlyQuest. That last week really did wonders as far as their morale for the team, and Huhi, as you said, talked about it in his video, kind of refocusing as well.
I mean, we are now, firmly into the back half of the split as well, and FlyQuest are a team that have always been deadly with momentum, so any additional momentum they start to get
they use the blast cone.
Is troublesome, and this is very sneaky. FlyQuest are going to steal away the Baron.
They 3-man blast coned over the back of this Baron, and with Kalista You have so much control. This is going to be it. It's at 4,000 already.
Lemonnation needs to keep dodging. Windspeak is kicking into overdrive, and now Aphromoo finally gets checked. Too late though, Baron over to FlyQuest.
Okay, a little bit of a heart attack there during the coordination of Rend and Smite, but there's nobody around with a significant amount of damage from CLG that could actually steal it. It was just Aphromoo taking a peek, and all they get to see is that they've been had. Baron now over to FlyQuest. That is the thing that completely gets you over this mid-game stall, this mid-game gap. And even as risky as it is to do the Baron like that, Kalista, as we said, solves so many of these problems for the composition of FlyQuest, and absolutely huge for them.
And you can see a lot of the things we've started to see more of as well. I mean, one of the reasons Sona has been so good in solo queue as far as the way to go is the sheer power of Ardent Sensor. Lemonnation has already finished that after his Ice Stone and has another Forbidden Idol added to the mix. So Windspeak is all that healing and shield power just continuing to add. Going to keep Turtle nice and healthy. He was already pretty frustrating to kill in one AoE-centric team fight. As Moon gets aggressive, going to chunk down Stixxay.
And it actually makes the team fight quite good here of FlyQuest. They have a lot of possibilities transitioning here. All right, with Baron buff, trying to spread out 1-3-1 here, push all 3 lanes. The Drake is going to come up in 20 seconds, but again, it is just an Ocean Drake, so FlyQuest would much rather make use of the Baron to get some of those secondary turrets down, some of those more difficult ones to try and push down that we talked about, and it looks like a rotation over towards mid is going to be the selected turret.
Yep, High again, just keeping the wave pushed down, going to clear out some vision as FlyQuest gain full control of the red side of CLG jungle, and an Ocean Drake to take, might as well get it with all the control you've built yourself. You still have about a minute and a half to play with, of Baron buff to play with once this play finishes. And High, he does have some gold to spend. Infinity Edge will be the next item relatively soon, but no need for that right now. Just try and do damage.
Yeah, I still think they really want to get some gold out of this Baron buff, so they're trying to make use of it before it actually times out and continue with the pressure here. Dardoch, though, is looking for a setup.
Not going to find anything just yet. Spotted by a Sentinel. Stixxay valiantly defending from High.
Yeah, CLG's main operative right now is just defend the turrets. If they can actually deny turret gold from this mid-game Baron from FlyQuest, that'd be huge. Isn't going to happen, though. This one goes down fast.
Yeah, they're going to lose at least one here, so bottom tier 2 goes down. Ball's back to defend Darshan. Split push as well. So FlyQuest playing very safe with this Baron. That is one of the awkward things about getting Baron so early, is it's often hard to do too much with it unless you're already so far ahead that the game might have been out of reach anyway.
That is a problem that you would like to have.
Exactly. It's an excellent problem.
You're like, oh no, my Baron is so early. The other problem that is great for FlyQuest is they have 6,000 gold lead, and now they have to decide what items to spend it on. Looks like they're coming through with multiple 2-item spikes here. This is just completely set up for a very, very crushing team fight for FlyQuest. They can actually group together and have a very big force. Remember the Sona plus Kalista combo. It allows Sona to oh, never mind, don't even need it.
Moon just hunting down Stixxay. Invis once again as the Buster Shot's going to disengage at Lemonnation, getting aggressive. Attached to that Kalista, so nice and safe.
All right, so what I was about to say is, and we may still see it here, one of the things that this allows Sona to do is go for those super aggressive flash Sona ults, which usually get punished pretty heavily because she's so squishy, but then Kalista can pull her out of the danger afterwards if you know, things go awry, and have an opportunity for engage number 2, which really does add a couple layers there to the FlyQuest team fight. Meanwhile, though, Darshan finally takes his toll, and the first turret for CLG is acquired to get some gold back into their pocket.
Yeah, gets that bottom outer turret there. Looks like Black Cleaver, Frozen Mallet was the first 2-item choices there for Darshan, so not tanky at all, really. If CLG are looking to start some sort of team fight, they're going to need to wait a little while longer to get some gold. And unfortunately for them, despite the steady pace of this game, I think that's only because FlyQuest haven't really imposed their will on CLG and forced a big team fight. Because given what it looks like right now from the gold lead FlyQuest has built, there's no way CLG win a team fight.
That Baron power play, only 1,300 gold for FlyQuest because they only got that one turret and traded a couple lines of minions. Meanwhile, though, are they going to be able to get Stixxay?
Stixxay just evaporates High.
All right,
barely had time to use summoners.
That's going to make the push a lot easier for FlyQuest now. Pretty big pickoff, yeah. High able to get the package right in there, interrupt his rocket jump.
And at some point, that's really what FlyQuest are looking for. Again, no need to rush things. No need to force yourself into a situation that might be tricky. Just leverage your gold lead that you've built and slowly but surely get ahead. Fly now 2v1, going to try and get out of the way. Vel'KoZ ulti, not enough to take him down though, and FlyQuest starting to break open a few more turrets. CLG starting to realize that we have to make some plays now.
Yeah, they went for 2 members there to try and make a play onto Huhi, but they didn't have enough damage, and FlyQuest take another turret for this. Slowly but surely, taking over the map here. The key is going to be, can they keep control of the vision after they've taken these turrets? As of right now, CLG doing a pretty good job of keeping up their defensive vision, but they've lost a lot more territory recently. You can't see the stats there for Huhi as far as his Corki play. He played it in previous versions and was very quick to jump back on it once they made the most recent buff to the champion as well. It has definitely served him well over the length of his career, multiple years. Been able to definitely put up the damage numbers.
Yeah, I think this split he was actually the first player to bring it out in the summer of 2017. So absolutely correct there as far as his preference for the champion. And the gold lead just keeps growing here for Fly. I think this next Baron buff will tell us a lot about how this game's going to go. Because if CLG can't actively contest for this buff, FlyQuest might just run over CLG.
And I do like what we're seeing, because Huhi did talk about in his video how they were changing the way that communication works on FlyQuest. We can see it in this game, in the way that they're playing. They're so much more calculated, much more measured, right? You're used to this super fast-paced FlyQuest where they go for early kills, and if they get them, then they try and snowball as quickly as possible. And if they don't, then they still try and make plays in the jungle. But they've actually been quite measured. Aside from the blast cone over the back of the Baron, which was the main risky play that they called for, and was actually a pretty good calculated risk considering they also had pink wards. But aside from that, it has been a very methodical and kind of calculated FlyQuest here.
And I think CLG have kind of opted into that game as well. I mean, they've been playing very defensively, making sure they pick up their farm, just trying to get to that break point where they feel like they can win a team fight.
Yeah, Tristana getting...
Oh, Dardoch with a play, does knock Huhi back in. He's going to get rooted by Morgana and blown up by the Vel'KoZ Stixxay. Just enough damage. He's going to leap out with the flash on from Lemon's going to barely miss. WildTurtle though into the mix on the fight, going to try and take down Dardoch as the first. He's low, but he's not down as the ulti. Back down almost torches Moon.
Oh, Balls are still teleported into enemy territory. Now he's toast.
Dies to Darshan, who also TP'd in. CLG pick up 2 quick kills. Gonna maybe knock down this turret as well.
Oh, what a turnaround there. CLG take the pick onto Huhi, and they're gonna take the turrets right up mid lane. Dardoch comes up big with the flash on his Gragas, and he actually lived with 70 HP there, walking out as well. The Ren unable to finish him off.
More than enough, I think Dardoch's thinking, as they'll even rush down to finish that mountain. Dardoch much healthier now that his pass has been ticking for a few, and this mountain would have been great for FlyQuest to get their second Baron, unfortunately for them. The honor of this Drake goes over to CLG, who finally showing some signs of life. And 31.5 minutes in, CLG might have waited just long enough.
This is why we warn of the scaling. Oh my goodness, what a prediction. We'll definitely give him credit for the prediction instead of saying that it was crooked there, because what a huge play from Dardoch. Starts this thing all off, gets the Corki, who is one of the biggest sources of damage right now, off the field. Then he barely survived. That's actually even less than 70. But Balls actually completed his teleport, and they thought they were turning it around there. So another kill and another cooldown given over, man.
Huhi, definitely a lot more respect now. It's another ult from Dardoch. Going to look for Huhi, but not quite enough range to complete that one. So you can see Huhi instantly backing away as soon as Dardoch body slam near him, and Darshan actually slowing down Huhi with a mallet.
Yeah.
Huhi to keep fighting, but Turtle on the flank might be okay. Stixxay forced to leap away as the ulti from Lemon might be enough to take down Darshan. Huhi does die there, and now Turtle's going to flash out from under the Vel'KoZ, knock up CLG. Still up 4v4 with Balls not having too much health. Moon getting chunked down there by the poke, and CLG starting to really fight back here.
Yeah, 1-for-1 trade, but Sona is actually healing FlyQuest up at the moment, trying to get back in defense. CLG cut them off from getting around to the turret and make them go the long way.
Yeah, Vel'KoZ with his long-range pokes able to cancel any recalls or attempts to swiftly move back to defend the turret. So Stixxay going to get that free time and should be able to take this one down. No real major cooldowns here for FlyQuest. Have to concede another turret.
Yeah, man, the poke from Huhi was consistent there. Even though Sona is spamming W, spamming that heal, Huhi hit about 5 Qs on the Vel'KoZ from just that spot over there. and able to keep them low enough and zone them out that CLG take a second turret off of that one. Even with all this big turnaround for CLG, they are still down in gold, but this is the reason why we warned against the scaling of CLG's comp, and we warned against the power of their front line. Gnar and Gragas, the reason they're so big right now is because of their late game playmaking ability and the presence of this front line, which allows your backline to get out more DPS and effectively helps your team fight in so many different ways here. And even though they don't have flash on Dardoch, you know, for another minute or so, they do have their Gnar flash. So Darshan could actually create it himself this time if he's able to charge up his Gnar bar.
Well, FlyQuest pretty well set up to maybe try and win their own team fight here, but CLG have played catch up maybe much better than FlyQuest would have liked, given all the item completions. High gonna push out that top lane, although bottom wave's been a pretty constant sign of distress for FlyQuest here in this game. Darshan been vigilant in his pushing of his respective lane, and now the Baron priority has been opened up for CLG. They're going to get a pink ward down into the pit, and FlyQuest are certainly playing around that Baron. They're going to try and take that one again, but Fate's Called Burnt going to protect Lemonnation.
Oh my goodness, the Vel'KoZ damage is coming to fruition. He's got the 3 items. Oh, here we go, some more poke as well. He lands another Q.
On the flank, but Dardoch looking for High, does boost him away. Darshan again, so persistent, so pesky, hops forward, looks for the boomerang. Not going to land it, but Stixxay's kind of cut off balls here. Root going to miss there. FlyQuest managed to re-engage. Double! Oh! Good takedown. Dardoch, balls able to torch him down as WildTurtle laying damage into Darshan, who's now gone mega balls with a good little refresh on the zombies as Lemonnation's redemption able to heal quite a lot back. Still need to pick up the big carries though. Huhi and Stixxay still up for CLG.
Difficult to chase CLG as they've got, you know, the Dark Binding as well as Vel'KoZ damage coming out, but FlyQuest making the move over to Baron. They do have the Kalista for the seal, but still, it's 4 CLG members up. It is a bit risky to go for that fight and corner yourself inside the pit.
Darshan TPing back in. FlyQuest have a lot of Baron damage, but could still be problematic.
The Vel'KoZ ult could just destroy them here. They have to be careful.
Yeah, Huhi lining up the perfect.
Oh my God!
Gets picked up by a Q. Gonna commit to the Baron. They have to take it down. The smite is there for movement. Stixxay moves to the pit to try and take him down. Moon goes to mid, gonna try and outplay, but he goes down as that's Lemon going down as well. CLG gonna wipe out almost all of FlyQuest.
Oh my goodness. Balls does survive, so they have a single Baron buff left after that call. In the end, it was a 4-for-2 trade plus the Baron, so slightly, definitely favorable there for FlyQuest, but it is going to count, you know, how much can they actually use this single Baron buff that they have. Plus, you have to also detract the top lane turret, probably going to go down on the top side to Darshan as well.
Certainly is. Darshan able to take down yet another turret.
Cool. Don't lose that Baron buff, balls. You guys paid a lot for it.
Yeah. Huhi with the poke does not quite pick up balls, but watch this fight again. I mean, FlyQuest feeling under pressure here, just felt like they had to force a fight.
I was thinking it was going to be a Vel'KoZ ult on them in the Baron pit that was going to do all the damage, but it's just the Thunderlords, the W and the Q. Turtle hops back, and Huhi lands it right onto him, just taking him out with only poke damage. Even with that, though, they do get a nice combo on the side there. As you can see, Darshan threw 2 of them into the wall for a CC combo and absolutely destroyed them, picking up another couple of kills.
And I can't tell if Dardoch was sad that he died or happy that they managed to wipe them, almost wipe them around the Baron.
Probably both.
Yeah, a little bit of back-to-back reactions there for Dardoch.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
But CLG going to be happy with that result. And FlyQuest lining up another underwhelming Baron power play, unfortunately for them. We'll see what they can do with that Soul Baron buff on balls. They're going to start something else as Elder Dragon, the next big objective to spawn.
Yeah, so once you get to this stage of the game too, especially with a significant front line like CLG have drafted, the problem becomes, can you poke off the Banshee's Veil on Vel'KoZ before you have to fully engage? Because with that on, it becomes incredibly difficult, and you can't go for that flash Sona play that we've been looking for with the Kalista combo. Oh.
Getting aggressive, does get rooted by Aphromoo. Dardoch not going to go quite back in, but Turtle's actually started the Elder Dragon, laying spears into it.
He's got lifesteal, so he's tanking it up here, especially with Sona heals, and he's got plenty of spears. They could secure it.
Oh, Darshan getting burnt down. Miniform is just so squishy, almost has enough rage. But a root onto balls is a nice zone. He's going to keep him alive for a little while longer. WildTurtle still getting spears in there for Huhi. Able to take him down with a laser. Balls dead as Dardoch leaps into action on the moon. He's forced to flat out of the area. Stixxay aggressive. Knocked by Lemonnation. He's going to go down. Big mistake from Stixxay. And now Aphromoo going to get aggressed on as FlyQuest look to re-engage Moon. Getting chain CC, but Turtle with the flank takes down Aphromoo. Moon still alive. There's a second kill onto Dardoch. FlyQuest able to find the team fight win.
Oh, first Balls actually puts himself in a bad spot, zone-using, and gets immediately stunned after he comes out of it. But then Stixxay jumps into the entire team, gets hit with the Kalista ultimate Sona knockup, and that turns the complete opposite here for the team fight. FlyQuest take the fight, and they take the Elder Drake.
Yeah, this is going to be very straightforward. Having Smite, they've got the Rand. This Drake's going to go down. FlyQuest finally winning a team fight, it feels like, despite the lead they built.
So look at this. So Balls gets chunked down, and he kind of panics here a little bit, uses his Zonias, even though only the Vel'KoZ ultimate, or the Vel'KoZ W had been used on him. So he immediately gets killed afterwards, and CLG take that opportunity to jump in. But then Stixxay hops into the back line, and you can see the Sona came out of the Kalista ultimate before WildTurtle got knocked over that wall. So he still got to come out and knock up Stixxay, and eventually he's able to get right back around here. Oh man. If you are the Tristana there in that comp, you're so much of the damage there along with Vel'KoZ that, yes, you're winning the fight and you're getting a bit hypey there in the communication, but you can't be jumping into the front line into 3 members. One of them, a Kha'Zix, an assassin that wants to isolate you, no less, and you just isolate yourself. He's definitely going to regret that one.
Not properly respecting cooldowns, it feels like, as Lemonnation is going to shake it off. Huhi with a respectable amount of damage dealt, but no Void Staff and a ton of heal throughput there for Lemon. Means that as long as he's spamming that W, he's feeling awfully safe.
All right, they use the Rumble ultimate for zoning.
Yep, looking to try and get them off the turret. FlyQuest looking to break down the base. Redemption going to heal some of those health bars back as Dardoch commits the ulti and gets basically nothing. Darshan, though, fully enraged. He's going to maybe force FlyQuest back, and Baron not up for a number of minutes. FlyQuest going to disengage that mid lane push.
Yeah, CLG just have to defend, not go into panic mode here, but FlyQuest still with some time left on the Elder Dragon. They would love if they could grab a team fight. It is 5-on-5 right now, and you have to be a little bit worried about the dive, but with the extra true damage here from the Elder Dragon, getting a lot of damage on the turret.
Highest rapid fire cannon helping out as Moon consistently has been looking for flanks to try and disrupt and poke CLG.
Yeah, they have all lanes pushed right now with the minions, trying to get those stray shots onto the turret to get them burning down.
It looks like the 4-man rotation for FlyQuest all the way down to the bottom side of the map. They're going to clear wards as they move through here and look for that siege, but Minion Wave already collapses. They'll switch back to mid lane here, and decent damage, but no turrets falling just yet.
Yeah, any opening that FlyQuest get during a rotation like that for a couple of shots on the turret is very important, and it does add up because they're a very short-range team and not the best siege team here. You know, High has his rapid-fire cannon and Trinity Force, so he can get in there for one of those big autos on Corki, but it's not like they're going to be able to burn down a whole turret, so they have to take these chip shots at it and slowly work their way down.
Looks like with a minute left on the Baron spawn, FlyQuest have decided it's time to reset and move back towards that objective. You can see again, just the sheer number of items built on both sides. I mean, Moon just finished a Lord Dominic's Regard, so he's all in on the assassination front. I mean, we saw what happened to Stixxay. And he leapt in a little too far forward. Moon again, you can see why he's looking for these flanks, just trying to assassinate someone.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to mix up your battle lines here if you are CLG. There's a reason you draft such a good front line and such long-range damage for your back line. You want to keep them in their places and just execute the team fight basically from front to back, as we call it. Trying to kill whatever's in front of you first, because your DPS is so big from the long range that it's hard for the enemies to kind of get back there to them. Here we go, though. They're going to try.
Moon looking for it, but spotted out there. Is Aphromoo now going to pop coin?
Oh, Lemon wants it.
Lemon flush ult. He actually finds Stixxay, but he buffers to jump out. Damage still there, but Kalista's going to peel off Darshan, who's looking forward. Huhi blows up the Sona, but WildTurtle still doing a decent amount of damage. Dardoch with a massive play that Gnar's going to move it in. Huhi grabs an instant triple kill out of the play. And that's disaster there for FlyQuest. Moon running away, but Stixxay going to hunt him down. And that's 4 dead with CLG losing nothing.
Giant combo there for CLG, and they are going to be able to take inhibitor off of this one, if not push all the way to Nexus Surge, because it's only Turtle that has to hold now the entire base for FlyQuest.
Yeah, it's 40 seconds left on most of the members of FlyQuest, so that inhibitor's going to go down. CLG not done yet, going to push for at least these Nexus turrets. The first one under fire. Turtle.
Timer's too long.
Just cannot defend by himself. The first one falls. The second one is going to fall shortly after. And FlyQuest, despite the lead, they built CLG, trusting their scaling and take down game number 1. That was a very CLG game 1.
Definitely. Get a little heart attack in the middle.
Early game looking a little rough. Stixxay leading a team fight, 1v2/1v4. But in the end, CLG trusting their team fighting and able to emerge victorious in the first one.
Yeah, as you should with that composition. As we mentioned, like the later it gets, the harder it is to mess up a team fight with that composition. They've got Black Shield for Tristana, Vel'KoZ has his Banshee's Veil, and both of those are 2 of the longest range DPS in the game. And you've got a frontline like Gnar and Gragas should be able to, you know, come out with those type of team fight victories. They do execute there in the end and run it all the way through to the Nexus.
I mean, do we feel like for FlyQuest, we praised them early on for the more calculating, methodical play style, but at some point you have to kind of push yourself over the finish line. The game may have stalled too much in the mid game.
It's definitely difficult, and that is the balancing line that you have to go over. But as far as the results and seeing, it's much easier with hindsight 2020. But trying to pressure there, as we said, that's why we kept mentioning this 25-minute mark, where this is where a lot of the early game teams stall out. It is hard to take it up a notch and go for those tower dives or go for those high-pressure situations. But that's what you have to do when you're facing you know, a team composition like that.
Yeah, when you're facing a #1 team especially. For more on that back-and-forth game, though, let's check back in with our analysts.
Thank you very much, PastryTime. And coming into this one, it seems slow and steady wins the race for the way that CLG was able to play it out after a pretty tough laning phase, actually, to start things off.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it can go sometimes. When you pick a really strong scaling comp, you just have to kind of sit back, farm, scale up, and it's on your opponents to actually get something done.
You look fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
So looking at what they brought in here, we did have a few different things in the team comp. FlyQuest actually continues to go for different things in that bot lane. Lemonnation now brings out Sona, and it seems like Comfort really helped them out in the early part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Balls on Rumble, that's a big comfort pick.
Absolutely.
You know, Corki for high, like these are picks that they're very comfortable with. WildTurtle and Kalista. I think this Sona is actually really smart here because of how powerful Ardent Sensor is on this champion. You can very easily apply the attack speed buff to multiple people, right? With your heal and the shielding that comes out from your W. So when you have multiple AD carry composition, it's going to make it that much stronger. And I actually thought that the Sona made a lot of sense both into the Morgana and just against the composition as a whole, and that helped them in lane phase a lot too.
Controlling the map just about up to about 30 minutes. FlyQuest being able to siege very nicely with their potential, CLG not knowing what to do, but then it just seems that FlyQuest was able to bring that Baron play back and give it back to CLG. Not the way they wanted. We'll pull that replay up here to see what happens. FlyQuest always in control, and then they seem to kind of snap judgment.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where they know they're going to get outscaled, so they do feel like they need to force something, and we kind of get to see the power of the Vel'KoZ, Huhi able to take down WildTurtle without even having to expend the ultimate there, just hitting the 2 parts of the Q, or sorry, the 2 parts of the W plus the Q. That gets you the Thunderlords and also procs your passive, so it's enough damage to actually just kill him off straight up. And Vel'KoZ, I think, is actually a very strong champion. It's an extremely powerful wave clear, allowed them to not really get abused in the early lane, and it gives them such high amounts of like kind of long range damage. So Huhi came up pretty big on that, I think, for CLG.
Yeah, we started off talking a lot about FlyQuest on this, but we see Comfort can be there for CLG, where Darshan goes back to these split push things, but also Huhi's pool continues to grow on things we've seen him play before. So it becomes a toss-up for teams to say, we ban this, do we take this? CLG is kind of an enigma in that sense. Another replay we have is that game-ending fight that we saw coming in, and it seemed here again, that split decision, FlyQuest wanted something, but then they were struck to get it.
Yeah, and I think, you know, a lot of credit has to go for Stixxay as well. He actually buffers the rocket jump as Lemon is flashing in. If that ultimate hits him before he can get the rocket jump off and he's actually stuck in the equalizer and doesn't get that distance away from the team, he may have gone down right off the bat. But when you fail that engage, Vel'KoZ able to turn around the fight able to get so much damage out. You know,
Look at that gold grab.
Yeah, I mean, they were actually very far behind in gold for most of the game, but it doesn't really matter by the end of the game when you are at these 5-6 item points for CLG. It doesn't matter how much gold you are behind because your champions have simply outscaled. Like Tristana, it's so much easier to actually contribute large amounts to team fights than it is for Kalista. Someone like that who has to get through the massive front line, plus Tristana has the protection of the back of the Black Shield. So like, I think that CLG just had a very strong comp, and FlyQuest wasn't really able to snowball the game.
Very composed in the end, coming from CLG. We need to see that from the top team, or one of the top teams in the league. And if they can't kind of handle being down in the early game, we won't see them up there for very long. Player of the game now going to Huhi on that Vel'KoZ. Again, as he expands the champion pool, taking the floaties off, no more kid size. He's going everywhere. He's got Galaxy with Aurelion Sol, now bringing out the Vel'KoZ as he shoots more stars. The math, he's just doing it.
I just think he's one of the best mid laners in the NA LCS now. Yes, there's Jensen, there's Bjergsen, like Froggen's been performing very well, but like people are starting to realize how good he really is, and he's so good on so many picks now. Huhi is constantly impressing me, and I think that this is cool to see. You know, we talked about at the top of the day, what is the interpretation of the meta for some of these guys coming into 7-13? We've seen Sona. I think that makes a lot of sense with some of these double AD carry compositions, and also with the rise of Morgana in the NA LCS, it's a strong lane answer there. Plus now Vel'KoZ. So that's just the first game of the day. So very excited to see what else these teams have in store for us.
Absolutely, and actually we do have information that Omar God will be subbing in for Game 2, so that is going to be quite interesting to see what happens in the composition. How do you feel about that kind of switch up as we go from game to game?
I mean, it's one of those things where there was a lot of hype around him, but he has not really been able to perform in the competitive scene. He did great at Scouting Grounds. You know, that they got signed to CLG Black or CLG Academy, I think they are now. But, you know, they weren't able to qualify for Challenger the first split. Now, this most recent split, the only team I think they got a win off of was Delta Fox. So they're not looking so hot competitively. It's hard to pinpoint, you know, who's the success point, who's the failure point, because he has looked better, I'd say, than the rest of his team. So it's a big opportunity for him if he can prove himself on the big stage.
All right, we'll have to see. We've had a few of those opportunities to be given out. Mike Young just showing well, so maybe there's a few more to shed some light on. We are stepping away for a quick break, but when we come back, it is Game 2 between FlyQuest and CounterLogic Gaming. Don't go anywhere. You are watching the North American LCS.
Is it what?